Howdy folks, and welcome back to another Casual Completers video, where today I'm going to continue my quest to obtain all the Assassin's Creed Platinums. I swear I'll get around to other games at some point. Today we are looking at one of the more frustrating Platinums in the series, and not because it's hard or grindy, I'm looking at you, Valhalla, but because it requires the dreaded multiplayer trophies. Without these multiplayer trophies, honestly this list is actually pretty tame. But with these multiplayer trophies, the achievement rate of the Platinum is a 0.5%, and it will be the rarest trophy that I have. So with that, there are 51 trophies up for grabs. Let's put that up on the board and begin. Now, before I started the main game, I wanted to make sure of two things. One, that the multiplayer servers were still up, since this is a 10-year-old game and you really never know when servers are going to get shut down. And two, that people were still actually playing the multiplayer. I can definitively say that at the point of this video being uploaded, the answer is yes to both of those questions. Even better, after doing some research into the multiplayer trophies, you really only need other players for 2 of the 5 trophies, and only need to be in a public server for 1, that being Lab Technician. All the other 4 can be done in private rounds if you have friends, and outside of All-Rounder and Personal Bag of Tricks, can be done solo. With that, let's start with my first trophy and get ourselves on the board. I went with what I thought to be the hardest trophy to start, Lab Technician. This requires that you play a round of a game lab from the multiplayer public playlist. If you're like me and have no friends that actually play Black Flag, there are 2 ways to go about still getting this. You can A, try to queue like on the playlist on a weekend. Do not do a weekday, do a weekend. Or you can try and find a boosting group through PSN profiles. I used the former and honestly just got lucky on a random Sunday. Personal Bag of Tricks was the next trophy, and it's super simple. All you have to do is make your own loadout and then play a round of multiplayer with it. Keeping in mind, you don't actually have to win, you just have to play around. Once you do that, the trophy will pop. Master of the Caribbean is one of the solo multiplayer trophies you can do. It's pretty simple as well. All you have to do is play all 8 rounds of the Wolfpack tutorial game mode, and wham bam thank you ma'am, that trophy will pop. Alright. So with 3 multiplayer trophies out of the way, I realize I'll be able to finish the other 2 in due time, so let's get on to the actual game following the story of Edward Kenway. As I said, this list is actually relatively easy and tame with 17 story trophies, and really only 1 trophy in the end that gave me pause for concern, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, throughout the game, you'll find treasure maps with coordinates that lead you to certain locations around the entire map. Excavator is the trophy you will obtain when you dig up your first buried treasure. Pro tip, you can actually get this trophy on the first mission of the game. And speaking of the first mission of the game, Owned is obtained when you complete all activities on a single location. This too can be completed before you even finish Sequence 1. And finally, with that, Heroes Aren't Born is completed once you get on the schooner and complete Sequence 1. This next trophy can be tricky if you're not paying attention. Siren Song is awarded when you use dancers to distract guards holding pirates hostage. It's important that you make sure the dancers lure away the guards with the guns, otherwise they won't be triggered and you won't get the trophy. Don't ask how I learned this information. Honestly, I just like the name of this trophy, Silence Fool. Easy to obtain, just kill a guard who's ringing a bell, and this can be done at pretty much any point in the game as you'll find guard bells all over the place. Do this, get your reward. After some shenanigans, we finally obtain, if you catch my drift, our ship, the Jackdaw. Vitally important for later trophies, but for now, we obtain good while it lasted for finishing Sequence 2. This next trophy can be deceptively difficult. All aboard requires you to board another ship and not lose any crew. The rules are simple. The opposite ship has to have at least 10 defendants on board, you must board the ship, and you cannot use the mounted gun to kill all 10 of the people. Throughout the game, you'll complete several different challenges, from getting a kill streak to skinning X amount of animals, etc. Employee of the Month is obtained once you complete 25 of these challenges, and with around 100 challenges total, you'll get this done simply by playing the game. The next trophy is even easier. Business and Pleasure is obtained once you obtain a total of 50,000 reales. Keep in mind, you don't actually have to have 50k on you at once, it is a cumulative effort. I'm telling you folks, this is such an easy list. Thug Life is awarded after boarding 30 ships. What you do with those ships is totally up to you, you just gotta board them. Successfully. You have to successfully board them, I should add that caveat. Another story mission out of the way, A Pirate's Life for me, is awarded once you finish Sequence 3. This next bit's a little weird. So in Black Flag, just like in prior games, there are out of Animus sections and you get a trophy for each one. But for whatever reason, they numbered these weirdly. So finishing the first present day mission awards routine hacking for finishing present day mission 2, which just doesn't really track, so don't let it mess you up. At a certain point in the story, you will unlock Templar hunts to obtain Templar keys. There are 5 of these hunts in total, and in this case, I'm in Havana doing this mission. Each hunt consists of 4 side missions. These are admittedly really fun little side stories, and the reward you get at the end is pretty dope as well. Help a Brother Out is awarded once you actually complete a full Templar hunt and obtain a key. So this is actually a really fun little side mission. In Black Flag, they added a entertaining side mission where you can hunt sea creatures using harpoons. These animals consist of a bull shark, great white, hammerhead, humpback whale, the elusive white whale, and the subject of this trophy, the killer whale. The aptly named Killer Killer trophy is awarded once you successfully stick enough harpoons in a killer whale to make him take a permanent nap. This is another trophy that will just happen naturally. Merman is awarded once you swim a total of 1 nautical miles in the water, which is 1.82 kilometers, or 1.1 miles for my land-based Americans. We continue our story-awarded trophies with no apologies, happily and greedily taken after the completion of Sequence 4. No new trophies between 4 and 5, so Death of a Salesman, also the name of a movie I never watched, is awarded upon completion of Sequence 5. Not totally sure why, but the trophy Roped In was a lot more difficult for me than it honestly should have been. I was just never able to get the timing right, but in the end, I was still able to get my 5 kills, and ultimately, I got my trophy. Our next trophy, Mixing Up the Medicines for completing Sequence 6, is where, in my opinion at least, the story starts to get really good. Oh, and we get the trophy, but I imagine that was a given. We continue our story streak with Getting Weird Around Here for completing present day Mission 3, but it's actually Mission 2? Again, very strange. There was never a present day Mission 1 trophy. This may be a pirate game, but nothing wrong with the little gunslinging. Wild West Indies requires you to kill 4 enemies with multi-pistols. To do this, you need to make sure you've crafted all the necessary pistol holders, and then, find 4 weak guards, send them to Hades. More story trophies, let's go baby! With The Hammer Falls, that secures us the necessary trophy for completing Sequence 7, and we are officially halfway through the game. Ah, the completion trophies, some of my favorites. In the game, there are these forts that you can take over to then see portions of the map, or that specific area. King of the Castle requires that you complete and capture all the forts. You will also have to do this for a later trophy of completing all naval missions. In Black Flag, Edward has a bunch of different outfits he can wear. For Redingote Up, I have no idea if that's correct, you need to simply craft the hunter's outfit. Note, you could try to find the rare animals whose skins you need, or you can just buy them from shops. So, sad news, much like what happened with the AC3 video, the PS5 did not actually capture the popping of this trophy. But in the grand scheme of things, this one's actually pretty easy and not a major loss. Barfly requires that you unlock all the taverns. To do this is easy. You just walk up to a locked tavern and then beat the shit out of a few guys. Like, you know, any sane person would. And there you go, it's unlocked. Here you can see me doing just that, and while the trophy did pop, the PS5 just didn't pick it up. As gamers, we can all agree water levels just sort of suck. And Black Flag has a handful of them. 7 Deadly Seas is acquired once you visit and actually dive each of the wrecks. Now, you don't actually have to complete them, but you do have to go down in the dive bell, which you get in Sequence 5. Alrighty kids, it's time to continue with the story trophies, and this one is super short. Adrift is awarded after the completion of Sequence 8, and as I said before, it really did feel like just a very short sequence in general. This next trophy is really fun, and when I played this on PC, I was never able to actually finish it, so it feels really good to complete it. Devil of the Caribbean requires you to beat all 4 legendary ship encounters. These ships are large and each sort of have their own style, so you'll have to learn the attack patterns. There are 4 encounters total, and they can be completed in any order and at any time, though I obviously recommend you have your Jackdaw upgraded fully, or at least near full, before attempting, as otherwise you'll, get to know the enjoyable feeling of a lead cannonball making contact with your face firsthand. Continue our story with A New Hope, and no, not Star Wars. We are awarded said trophy for completing Sequence 9. Our next trophy, admittedly, is a grind. Cannon Fodder requires you to recruit 500 pirates. It's not hard, it just takes a while. You can actually keep track of how many you have recruited by going to the database and then the statistics tab though. Remember those forts? Well, when you capture a fort, you'll gain access to the naval contracts on said fort. Sea Legs requires you to complete all of those naval contracts. In case you get worried that you're missing one, the last contract only spawns after all the others have been completed. There's always that expensive trophy, ain't there? To obtain FTFY, you need to upgrade every building on Great Inagua, which, for the most part, isn't bad, until the last upgrade, which is itself 40k reales. You have your Jackdaw, and you're gunning for the Destroyer trophy to fully upgrade it, but you're missing the last piece, the Elite Fire Barrel Storage. Well, honestly, I had to look this one up because I had already obtained everything, or so I thought. See, to get the map to find the fire barrel plan, you need to use Edward's fleet and find it on one of the voyages. Then you can find the plan, upgrade the ship, and get the trophy. I was, admittedly, not a huge fan of this. Okay, this trophy annoyed me. Cartographer requires you to visit every location on the map. Here's the fun part. There are 3 locations on the map that do not appear until much later in the game. So I had gone to each location and the trophy was not popping. I was concerned it was bugged, but nope, there were just hidden locations. Well, you know, it wouldn't be a pirate game without some level of betrayal. On the bright side though, my elusive fortune is given to us at the end of said betrayal, indicating the completion of Sequence 10. As with all things in life though, we have to deal with real-life problems, specifically being trapped in a bunker. The aptly named Bunker Buddies is the following trophy we get for completion of the present-day Mission 4. But secretly, it's Mission 3, so shh. Throughout the game, another one of the collectibles you find are Mayan keystones. There are 16 in total, and you basically use your eagle vision to solve quick little puzzles. Well, Vault Raider is obtained when you unlock the door in Tulum using those 16 keystones. When you do, you get a sweet piece of armor, and, more importantly, you get the trophy. Story time! Been down so long signals the end of Sequence 11, and, in my opinion, is one of the most hit-you-in-your-feels sequences. It's so good. There's no trophy here. I just thought this was hilarious. The swan dive right into the ship is something I had never seen before. but felt all of you needed a good laugh, just like how I got one. Continuing our story with Just Like Starting Over, gives us not only a pretty interesting reveal in sequence 13, but, as well, signals the end of sequence 12, and giving us that sweet, sweet trophy. Back in the real world, we've been a little sneaky hacker, and Ghost in the Machine is awarded when we have hacked 15 out of the 30 total Animus machines in the office. And speaking of our real life, It's All Good signals the end of the present day missions and the little side story that went along with it, which admittedly was actually pretty good and very interesting. We have now reached the end of the story, and honestly, it's so stinking adorable. I love it. But I also try to make these videos not be incredibly heavy on spoilers, no matter the age of the game, so I highly recommend you just go play it yourself. Saw That One Coming signals the end of sequence 13, giving us the final story-related trophy. And to top it all off, By the Book is awarded for getting 100% synchronization on all main missions, which I always try to do on the first go, so I don't have to go back and play the same mission over and over. This next trophy will take some explaining and clarification. Sharing is Caring was a trophy that worried me, as to obtain it, I needed to share 3 different events, social events, with friends. That being the White Whale, Royal Convoy, and a social chest. You need to be connected to the internet for these to appear, but you do not need to actually have any friends in your PlayStation. Ubisoft shut that down a while ago, but you can still get this trophy simply by finding these events. The White Whale and Convoy will most likely just appear as you go, but for the social chest, my best recommendation is going to Great Inagua and following this path that you see me taking till the social chest spawns. If it does not spawn, just exit the game and reload. There is also a fantastic map online that you can find that shows all the spawn locations for every event. Alrighty, so we're in the final stretch now. Time to return to the multiplayer. All Rounder is a real pain of a trophy. To obtain it, you must play every game mode, of which there are 6, and use every ability and ranged weapons at least once in multiplayer. The only ability that must be used in an actual round with people is Bodyguard, as it simply won't work in Wolfpack. Everything else you can use in a solo Wolfpack mission. As well, I learned this. You do not actually have to be successful with any of the abilities or weapons you use. You just need to use them. So, for example, if you use a poison dart on a civilian, congrats! It still counts as using it. I highly recommend as well keeping a list of everything you have used, as well as all the places that you have played. You can also use the ability Copycat, as you just saw in multiplayer games, and use your opponent's abilities and weapons to give you a little boost. It's honestly what I did. Finally though, I used my last skill, or my last weapon, Sabotage, and am awarded with the trophy. We are now on our final multiplayer trophy, Committed to the Cause. It is just... what looks like a quick minute to you was hours and hours of grinding for me, with just days of it. Good lord. Getting level 55 in the multiplayer is so incredibly grindy. It's not hard, it's just grindy. I cannot stress enough to you though to just keep doing solo Wolfpack missions one after another. It's tedious, yes, but the majority of folks on the actual online are so insanely good, you'll hardly make any XP and just drag the process out longer. Finally though, we obtain level 55 and can kiss the end of the nightmare that is Black Flag's multiplayer. But with that, we can now officially finish up Black Flag. We have done everything, killed everyone, and upgraded all things that we could. In my opinion, it's now time for a strong drink. Or 5 actually, to obtain our last trophy before the platinum, Hungover, for waking up in a haystack, or in our case, a leaf stack. And finally, with no introduction needed, we obtain the coveted Platinum Trophy with a 0.5 completion rate, prizes, plunder, and adventure. I want to thank you all for joining me on this pirate escapade. I love Black Flag all these years later, even if the multiplayer gave me a slight aneurysm. With the development, though, that there may be a Black Flag remaster coming out, I couldn't tell you how much longer the official servers will be up, so if this is a platinum that you want, I recommend you get on that. Anyways, the next AC game on the chopping block is Rogue, so be ready for that. As well, if you're more of one of them serial enjoyers, I'm looking into Skyrim, Minecraft, and Terraria. I know, very basic, but I like the games, and I've always sort of wanted to make like a series or two around them, so we'll see. Those will be for grins and giggles, probably come out once a week or something like that. But in any case, these videos do take a good while to make, so if you could hit that subscribe button, and please feel free to leave a comment about your most coveted platinum. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace!